Mr. Pankaj Pachori, more than 3 decades of experience. He's worked as the communications advisor to the Prime Minister of India. During his tenure with the Prime Minister's office, he's designed and executed media strategy across various platforms, Summit, BRICS Summit, United Nations General Assembly, and more.
This election in UP is being fought on WhatsApp. My friends who live in villages tell me that the journalism or the journalists around are not part of the WhatsApp groups which are actually exchanging information about this election. And they have become totally peripheral. Since channels have to cover elections, since newspapers have to cover elections, they've sent their reporters and they're doing their jobs. But the real dialogue, the political dialogue is happening there. And I, fortunately, I'm part of those WhatsApp groups because I worked with some people in the hinterland while I was taking a break from media. And the kind of information which is coming from there is not being decoded by the media today. So the biggest credibility of media today is that people are watching what we call the MSM, mainstream media, less and less. And that's the biggest pointer to your declining credibility. If you look at the news genre on television, in last 5 years, English news has declined 17%. It's come down. Hindi news has declined about 6% of the total people watching television at a time when more and more people are buying television sets. So it means that's the credibility. People are stopping to watch news on mainstream media because there are more channels of information which are available now. If you look at very simple things, Donald Trump election, his speech was watched on mainstream media by less people than what was being live streamed. This is the first time this has happened in the history. And we in India are just not looking at these global trends. If you look at New Yorker, you look at New York Times, you look at The Guardian, their digital businesses are doing much better than what their traditional businesses were doing. And the advertising revenue, if you look at that, for the first time in the history of media, in UK, the digital advertising has surpassed the advertising for television as a whole. And I'm talking about sports, entertainment, everything.
Very interesting.
So that is where the credibility is. If you are not credible, and it's a two-way street. You are not credible, less people are watching you.
I was just wondering what Pankaj was trying to say. I think I've got it now. Which is that credibility is now no longer a luxury or a must-have, or a great to have or a nice-to-have issue. It has now become a must-have because without credibility, there will be no difference between mainstream media and social media. I was actually expecting to take the issue down the line on the panel. It's good that Pankaj just stepped straight into this.
I think, Anuradha will bear me out on facts, but for 2 or 3 news channels in the country today, most of them are just barely making it or they are in huge losses. TRPs are not an assurance for money or successful media, which we can see from Times Now. The channel in 11 years has lost about 545 crore rupees. It was reigning for 5 years as the top channel in the country, but people were not paying for the content because the content was questionable. I won't say bad.